turn your mic on.
Okay, thank you. Again, this is a work session, monthly work session for the Holiday Island Suburban Improvement District Board of Commissioners. Okay. All right, but anyway, first of all, is Peggy, I think you had a comment you wanted to bring to our attention. Oh, yep, okay, sorry about that. Let's do that. Let's pledge allegiance to our country's flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry about that. My wife wasn't here to correct me. Let's do a roll call.
Commissioner Surratt. Present. Commissioner Stamps.
Present.
Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Ralph.
Here.
Commissioner Pinkley here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Okay, Miss Peggy, we're going to let you make your announcement.
Thank you. I'm Peggy Lodewijk, 19 Bob White Lane, but I'm here as the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and I particularly wanted to invite every one of you to our Southern Table. This is an event where we have the 7-time Pitmaster champion performing in getting his stuffed top marinated pork loin that won award, his award-winning smoked and glazed chicken quarters, his signature Southern Bliss green beans, glazed carrots with brown sugar, and his New Orleans-style bourbon bread pudding. This is September 7th. One of the things we'd like to continue doing regularly, like for Thanksgiving and Christmas, if the group likes. It's a 5 o'clock and a 7:30 dinner seating, $25 a person. And we just wanted to try out renting the ballroom and encouraging more residents to use it and more tourists to use it. That's why we have the 2 seatings. So we'd like to cordially invite all of you to make reservations, and let's try seeing how we can help High Sid by renting out the ballroom. Thank you.
At 22 Buckskin Lane. Speaking of eating, on the Saturday of Labor Day weekend, the Elks have you covered. Come up to the Elks Lodge from 7 to 11 on August 31st and get all the pancake breakfast you can eat. You get sausages, bacon, pancakes, coffee, juice, and for $8. And then after that, at 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock, you go over to the Cornerstone Bank parking lot, and we're having a fundraiser for drug awareness. Our drug awareness program that we put on every year. You get a burger or a brat, a bag of chips, and a drink for only $5 from 11 until 2 or until they sell out. So, thank you very much. See you there.
Thank you. We're going to, is there any other dinner announcements to be made? Okay. Well, let's get to the agenda. Removing fence on Highway 23 and the golf course.
Why are we removing that fence? It's just because we don't want to keep it up, or don't want to work, or don't want to do the weeds? Is that correct?
Well, it's deteriorating, so, and you can't find parts for it anymore, so it'd have to be all redone anyway. And then we do spend a lot of money on chemical spraying around it, where we could just mow straight through it. But the biggest problem is it's deteriorating. You can't find posts or anything for it. So, I mean, either we take it completely out and put modern fence in there, more modern fence in there, or we just do away with it, and that way we're eliminating.
Well, in that case, I think, you know, if we're just going to, if it's deteriorating where it's not feasible to keep it up, then probably we ought to get rid of it.
They did have extra parts and everything from when the yacht club had the same fence around it, because it was all done at the same time, but they deteriorate that stockpile too, so we're running out of stuff for it.
You've talked with who did you get all this information from?
Mike
Mike?
from the
Okay.
roads.
Okay,
He does all the spraying of it and the upkeep of it.
all right.
I think that's just a maintenance deal.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs our,
It's something we need to
True.
vote on. I just wanted to make sure that I got your guys' insight on it and it was okay, like always.
No, you're just talking about they're behind number 17.
No,
So,
along,
or is
right
it-
along the
along the
highway,
highway.
from, pretty much from Wolf's
Oh, okay.
all the way
okay.
down
Yeah.
to,
I'm sorry, I couldn't visualize.
yep, it's just a
Yeah. I know
post
what it
to
is.
post distance.
Bet we'll be getting rid of the little Burma Save signs too.
Well, what we'll do is we'll set, posts for them. Yes.
Okay.
Is it across from the Elks? Is it
Huh?
across from the Elks Lodge?
Yes.
Yeah, across
the-
That,
yeah.
Okay.
that rail fence, or,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, it'll be gone.
Attorney for the high said, we have two going now, and we need another one for local business. Is that what we're doing? The attorney for the high
The-
said?
Just the everyday stuff that we need legal advice on, we were wanting to explore and find a lawyer for that kind of stuff, because, I mean, you got Hutchison and Matt that are working on the legal stuff and whatever, we're going further with the foreclosures. But I just wanted to have a contract with a lawyer for the everyday, simple questions. You know, what do we do here? Stuff like that. And I just think we need to explore a different lawyer for this. I reached out to Wade Williams for several things, and he just doesn't have the employees or time to take care of it, and I'm just kind of interested if anybody else had options or people that I could explore.
Have we asked the municipal league for a referral?
No, I have not, but that'd be a good idea.
Sure, we're members of the municipal league. We might as well ask them for a referral.
We don't have the abundance of attorneys here that we had at one time. We were very fortunate that the high said had an attorney by the name of Ken Castleberry, and he was probably the most intelligent lawyer I've ever met, and I've met a bunch of them.
Do we still have the contract with RMP Hutchison firm, or is that not?
No, we are
We
just
didn't.
paying them hourly as we need them right now.
And on any foreclosure that we're currently involved in, who's doing that, if anybody?
Tim Hutchison is still doing that.
So he's working not under a contract, but just to fulfill those
Yep.
duties?
Sign
Well,
over,
Good.
do the paperwork for us.
Okay. Do you have an idea of how many lots, how many properties he's working on?
No. And Matt Bishop is dealing with the lawsuit part of it.
But he didn't want to continue as our regular law firm for other questions as well?
Well, no, I mean, we could go back and sign a contract with him, Hutchison, but I just wanted to see if there was any other options out there before we did so.
I think you've been a little frustrated, I know other district managers as well, is it just takes a long time to get a response from these attorneys. We pay them whatever hourly rate they need or want or is in the contract, but it seems like we're not an important client, it seems to me.
Yeah.
And I've been around here a long time. So I would just like to see somebody just for, like you said, daily questions. We got a question right here on the agenda, maybe. We can go in this afternoon, call, and by next Monday before the regular session, we would have an answer.
Exactly.
Yeah. That doesn't seem to be, with the number of lawyers in Carroll County and Arkansas, I think we should be able to get one, and I think we need to do that.
I agree. I think we need somebody that we can answer daily questions with Rich, and I know we haven't been, you can call these guys and don't even return your call.
Well, I think it's very important that we have someone local that kind of understands the political atmosphere of this area, and to understand how we function in that atmosphere. We were very fortunate, or I was very fortunate that in the years that I was here to have, again, Ken Castleberry, who was so capable. And there's capable people here. We just need to, and we need to find those people. We need to have them on board. I think that's a great idea.
We're gonna have Rich then look for somebody? Is that, my feeling is what we would do?
Yeah, and if, I just wanted to bring it up in case you guys had somebody in mind that I could look into, or, later on, if you think of somebody or you hear somebody might approach you after this meeting, and just give me your insight. I mean, 5 brains are better, or 6 brains are better than one, so I'm open for any idea.
I'm not I was gone too long, and I'm not aware of the local ones, but I have heard good comments about Thurman and Flanagan.
Okay, Flanagan I have written down here, so that's.
And but anyway, that's all I know.
Okay.
Just rumors.
All right.
Okay.
One other thing.
Uh-huh.
Rich, do you think, we're real small here, a real small population, but as I think there's 8 or 10 attorneys, rather than call them all, do you think we could put out an RFP, or have you done that already?
I have not. I just started exploring this. I mean, my first option was Wade Williams, and then it just didn't work out very well with him, so it's staffing. So. Larry, Peggy's got something to say, Larry.
Peggy Lodewijk, 19 Bob White Lane. Tyler Squires over in Berryville is pretty well known for working with cities and other government entities. And so his number is 870-423-4632. I've spoken to him in the past and worked with him. He's very responsive, so you might want to think about talking to him.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. I think that's a good idea. So,
Okay.
thank you.
We'll move forward, and like I said, if anybody has any people, just email me, swing in, whatever. We'll get working on it. Thanks.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is water rate study.
Okay, this is gonna deal with our little population again. So Wednesday or Thursday, I called Alan, and he was working on the project, the water rate study, and due to our population and other stuff, it got put on the back burner.
And the audit.
Communities Unlimited?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was supposed to have a meeting Thursday, so I must talk to him Wednesday. He was supposed to have a meeting Thursday, and then he was going to call me Friday. No phone call. So I have to follow up with him, but I guess I'm just gonna have to call him twice a week or something, keep on him, because we gotta have this water rate study done to help us with our UV protective, or UV project. So I will continue to call and keep them on it, but yeah, as of now, he says he's been pulled off it and put on the back burner due to our low population, and it's not high priority.
Well, we had that problem, we didn't have the audit. They had to have that too. And then that delayed it.
Yeah,
Well, they've had that for several months.
yeah, the
Yeah.
audit's been done, and
And
this year's audit.
everything is getting pushed back on that.
Is that, the next item is UV grant update.
Yep.
If we didn't have the water rate study done, then we can't get the loan, a low-interest loan for the.
That's going to maybe delay us a little bit, but I'm hoping we can push through that part of it without the water rate study, but we'll see. I have my expert water man here today to talk about the UV project here in a little bit, so.
Is that well, you'll get into it in a minute, but I was wondering where that money comes from, the loan, where the grantor is. You know, it's not a local bank that we're getting it from.
No.
Thank you.
It's a natural, it's Arkansas Natural Resources that gets it for us. They get it for us.
they're pumping a bunch of federal money into things like that as well, is what I'm reading. Okay, UV grant update is the next subject.
I will call Dan up to the podium, and he's gonna give us a rundown. It's very highly intelligent rundown.
Okay, we got a set of plans, partial plans. Oh, that's about all we got. We got 17 items that we need to follow through with ARNC. And that's due by the 15th of September, so time is ticking and we got to get going.
How far are we along on them 17 items?
We're not.
We haven't started on any of them? Everything else is up to par besides them last 17 items, right? As far as everything, well, we got
a partial set of drawings.
yep,
And then we got those 17 items. One of the 17 items is, of course, the rate ordinance that we need to pass. And let's see, we still have to send in we already did it, but we got to have the paperwork, procurement of professional services. We need some forms filled out, sales tax ordinance, clear site certification, signatory resolution, IRS resolution of intent, floodplain risk assessment, draw schedule, and cost-effective analysis. So it's just things that we need to get established.
Are those things available? Or are we starting from scratch on that type of paperwork?
This is all from scratch, yeah. This is what they're requiring, so we have
Okay.
to get all these documents downloaded. We do have several in the works. But as far as submitting them, we don't have anything submitted yet, so.
No, I just meant, is this floodplain study out there somewhere?
Yes.
I mean, okay.
Yes.
Dan, are we still using ESI for this grant, for this project?
Yes,
And if you've got a partial set of plans,
yes.
partial, that's what we had on the rec center. 12 plans later, we finally got that built.
Well, all the plans got to be submitted to, so, I mean, no one's reviewed the plans yet. We haven't even submitted them yet, so. All have to be submitted, the entirety of the plan, so.
Linda, did you have a question of Dan?
Sure.
Linda Graves, 29 Greenlaw, and you mentioned sales tax ordinance. It's going to be a sales tax ordinance in 17 days or even a year and a half from now. Is that necessary?
This is just documents that we have to submit. It doesn't, I don't know what that is entailed in that sales tax. We'll have to download it and see. I mean, a lot of the stuff's probably, it's just a format that we got to follow. Now, whether or not it's just a signature or, you know, if it's not applicable, then
it's basically the same steps that everybody that has to do this take, and it's just
you got to go through this
Yeah.
process, and it's.
point and click and print.
And I think what you're saying is if we don't have a sales tax, which you don't, as I said, and we're trying to get the grant, then we would have to write that in that the city of Holiday Island doesn't have a sales tax either. So it's not, as Dan said, it's not appropriate for this grant, but we have to tell them that, I guess.
Yeah, we got to follow these, you know, they're just
Yeah.
rules we got to follow. And
I don't think you can even get that on the ballot this year. And it takes 2 years to get that sales.
They
tax.
know this, but
Yeah.
this is what they need.
But we need to be,
So-
if they need to, I think the city council is working on that, I
Check,
believe.
is this a check the box?
Yep, that's all it is,
Yep,
check the
that's
box.
all it is.
It's like the floodplain, we already have it. It's just we don't have it, you know, in their format. I don't know what it is, but, you know, we already have it. Obviously, it's not in the floodplain, because the sewer plant would be in the floodplain, so, I mean, it's
You
just,
kind of-
what do we need for that document?
Yeah. You kind of startled us when you said we got 17 things we need to do in 15 days.
Well, I mean, that's,
But, yeah, I mean, I understand that it's basically a checklist.
yep.
So you say sales tax, not applicable. So floodplain, here it is, plugged in.
Right.
Just getting it
It's-
together.
It's just getting it,
Yep, it's a standard paperwork that everybody has to do every time they do this, and
Are the engineers working on that type of thing, or where does that responsibility fall?
that's all on us.
That's-
That checklist is all on us. So,
What about the partial drawings?
that's on the
that's,
engineer.
that's the engineer.
Is there any indication when they're going to complete them?
Once we get all the
Yeah.
paperwork done and everything.
We have to submit it with this set of things. We gotta send in a complete set of drawings. So, we'll have to have it.
How long are we expecting to get this done? And when?
We will be breaking ground in December, right? If everything goes through, they'll be starting in December on this. And then it'll, however long it takes, 3 months probably, depending on weather and how everything goes.
Yeah, I don't have that, I don't have that little document.
No, I don't have it on me either,
I don't have it
our
either.
checklist.
There are certain days we gotta have all
Yeah.
Ts crossed and dots, and
Because we have.
December 1st is like the.
We have the engineer gave us an exact breakdown of dates of when everything has to happen. So, I mean, as far as even starting with advertising of the engineer and all that has to be done, voting on this has to be done. So we're just on the next part that has to be done, which is September 15th. And once we get all that submitted and put in, then we'll get our final plan submitted, and then the next step of November will happen, they'll go out for bids. Then once all the bids go out, then we'll select who we want by the bids, and then once the bids, that contractor gets the bid, then we will start breaking ground in December. So we're just following the steps that they all set up for us.
So, Dan, do you have an idea when ESI will, the plans that you have in your hand there now, that's partial plans, but they have to work more to complete the whole set of plans?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Well, the only thing that's missing on here is the electrical.
Okay.
So, it should be cut and dry, but
Okay. And is there a December 31st, 25, is that the absolute date that everybody's got to have these completed UV systems?
no, we have to have this by July, I think it's June or July
Oh,
of 2025.
okay. So we don't have a whole year to do it
No,
next
no.
year?
No, we've had 4.5 years to get it done.
When you're talking, you or Rich talking to the engineer, does it look like there would be a good chance that we would get a bidder to come up and do the job? That's been
Oh,
a
yeah.
problem in the past.
But majority of this is gonna just be the expense of the UV disinfection unit. There's minimal piping and contractor-wise.
Okay,
So it's pretty simple.
okay.
Dan, do we have to order this equipment?
Yes.
And how many people manufacture these things?
The one we're looking at, there's just one. It's a Trojan UV system.
Do we have a cost?
We did, I don't have that right in front of me.
We have an estimation of the cost,
Yeah.
but once we get the final, once we go over that and get everything through, then we won't have an exact cost until they bid on it.
Well, but what Dan's saying is the labor is minimal or very little. It's obviously the cost of the equipment.
Yeah. Which is the most expensive cost of that is, well, electrical part of it, and then the bulbs, the UV bulbs and the racks and everything that they slide down into. I mean, that's where you get all your cost. And I don't even know what that cost was, top of my head.
Just right off the top of my head, I think we're,
Is it right that we only have one person that builds this kind of equipment? Is that what they said?
Yeah.
You know, I can't imagine that one company can do the whole United States. Now, nobody's going to give me that mess.
Yeah.
Because I know that you don't have to get somebody from in-state. You need to get a couple bids on this thing so we have some respectable idea what's going to go on,
Yeah, keep the honest person honest.
Yeah. Whether it's out of state or in-state.
I can't remember what brand it was that we installed before. For some reason, I can't remember what it was, but yeah, we need to talk to them about that too, maybe. See if that was the only one in this area, or if that's just the most popular one. I don't know.
Well, I think we need to have a couple people, because if we're only looking at one person, they can just say, I'd like $1 million or $2 million or $5 million or $100, or they might just throw out a figure, who knows? So if you get a couple bids, you're gonna have somebody, and they know you're taking bids on it, it's not gonna be, the equipment is the big cost of this thing. So I think that's what we really gotta focus on.
This being required by the health department in the state of Arkansas, or is it national? It's national?
Not the health department.
It's not health department?
No, this is ADEQ. So it's the wastewater side of it, not the health department. Health department's water.
ADQ, is there any government funds that can assist in this that you know of?
I mean,
The engineer should know about it.
that's why we went the route we did. ARNC,
With the low interest loan.
just low interest wrong.
Need a loan.
One last question, Dan. Do they have does ESI have a percentage cost? Like if it's $1 million whole total project, are they giving you their fee? What is that going to be?
What, 800?
Again, I'd probably have to look.
I
It
was
was in their
thinking
contract.
their estimated cost is around 800, I thought. So. Off the top of my head, I was thinking that's what it was.
How are we doing on well 5?
What was that?
How are we doing on well 5?
We haven't done anything.
Yeah, we haven't done anything with it. Haven't had time to go explore it or take after it or anything. I'm,
That was put on hold, is
yep,
my
it's
understanding.
put on hold and they're goosing it along, keeping it up and going, but I haven't had time to dig into it and get going on it.
Okay.
That's on me. I just haven't had time to get on it.
And how are we doing on testing of the hydrants?
He did them 9, and I think they haven't done any more since that, but then we're gonna get back on them again. You haven't done any more of that?
No.
Just them 9 that you presented to me last?
Are the people at the fire department not capable of doing that?
That's also on me. It's, the firemen know how to run a hydrant and everything, when it's time to run a hydrant, but when it comes to flushing and operating the valves and the hydrant and taking the stack pressure, that is on the water department.
Okay.
You get firemen slamming a hydrant shut at 4 o'clock on a Friday. That makes people,
Then dance here all weekend.
that makes people mad, but if his guys slam a hydrant shut at 4 o'clock on a Friday, that's on them. So that was my push to put on the water department to do the hydrant testing. I feel like that's the way it should be done. It's their system. They need to take care of it.
As far as the hydrants, I gave Rich all kinds of background information. The numbers are still the same as what they've always been, so
Yeah, even the
it's
9 that they did test, they're dead on with what they were.
20
Yeah.
years ago. So, nothing's changed in our system. That's the whole thing.
I just know that's an intricate part of the ISO ratings and that kind of stuff.
That is
to
why
keep-
we're on it.
Keep records on the hydrants and this kind of stuff. And like you said, it's the same as it was day one.
And after investigating the ISO, there is no reason we shouldn't be a 3 all day long.
No kidding.
with the fire stations we have and the distance and the employees and now the hydrant and flow tests, I mean, I just don't, there's no reason not to be.
We were, in the beginning, when we first started the fire department, we had a rating as good as we got now. And it was totally volunteer with one truck and 4 rakes.
Isn't this hydrant flushing probably at the top of the priorities that we need to be doing? I mean, I would think that making sure these hydrants work is the safety of our people that pay our bills. That's the taxpayers.
Yeah, but you also
So-
gotta think, I mean, they've got 5 guys, they've gotta take care of water leaks, they've got read meters, they gotta investigate, I mean, they probably get called out at least 6 to 8 times a day because of somebody's high water reading. I mean, they're not just sitting around playing tail.
Well, I didn't figure they were. If they were, we don't need them, but I mean.
Yeah. I mean, when they get time, they're going out and they're getting the flushing done. They've got 27 pumps they gotta check every day. I mean.
How many total fire hydrants do we have?
We should came more prepared. I was thinking it was 170,
It's on that,
that paper you gave
List.
me.
And we did 9?
We've done 9 so far.
This is like about a 10-year project then.
No, we'll get going on them. I mean,
Okay.
when's the last time they were flushed? When's the last time they were flushed?
1870, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, we're taking the steps forward to get going on them.
Well, I think it ought to be high priority. Okay.
Okay, we got that. Dan, do you have anything else for us?
Nope.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Dan.
it. Okay, the next agenda item we have here is a meeting between the BOC and the city council. We've been talking about that for, let's see, I've been here 3 years. Since 1920. That's when we were incorporated.
1920?
Well,
You don't work a day over 1930.
We got
you're right.
we got an email from the mayor this morning, I think everybody
Yeah.
did.
Last Friday, I sent that out there, buddy.
Friday,
Yep.
Friday, okay.
September the 19th.
And that's what, yep,
19th at 1 o'clock.
yep. And Dan
And-
wants to just try and see if that works for everybody and get started on this.
My response to that was where, and I mentioned ballroom, question mark.
Yep.
We have 12 council members and city council and BOC members. If we were to have it here or at city council chambers, there's not a whole lot of room for the audience. But I don't know if the audience cares or will show up. But it's an important meeting to me because we've got to work on our budget, both budgets, and we've got the timeline ticking on HICID. And everybody knows what I mean by that. As far as how long we're going to be able to keep in operation without lowering our budget. And Rich, I think you've done a good job on that. But we have to program for not higher budgets, but either level or lower, to keep the SID going. And when it runs out, it runs out. But we need to take a different look at the budget and try to get the city whatever they're able to do. And I know they're good people there. There's 3 of them in here right now. And they come and they want what's best for Holiday Island, whether it's the city or the SID. And so I think it's a really important meeting, and I'm interested in seeing what we come out of that after that meeting with planning.
Yeah, we're all in this together, and we need to be together. We need to be in step, and that has not taken place necessarily yet, but we need to get there.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like, are we past this now? I'd like to make a comment on, I think this is very important, but I also think we talked about the street right-of-ways. for the city, so the city can pick up some funds, and we can have, they can do us a lot of good. I just wondered, are we still working on that, or is it just one of these deals where every meeting, we talk about it, every meeting? We aren't getting anything done on any of this stuff.
And see, it's stuff like that that we need a lawyer. That we
I was
can
just gonna
actually-
say that, that's the kind of stuff we need an attorney to handle day-to-day things.
Yep.
Well, I said,
That's one of
I
them.
agree, that's one of them, but we just keep kicking the can down the road and we're not doing it.
We're
Well-
kicking a lot of cans lately, so.
So let's get an attorney and get on with it.
Be at that meeting, maybe.
Yeah.
Have the city's attorney there as well.
Right.
And I guess I'll just say prior to the meeting that several people have asked me about the fire department and could the city take that over? And we've discussed it in this meeting, and I know it's been discussed at the city council. And that's probably a good question for people to ask. Does the city need to have a fire department? Does all cities have to have a fire department? And if so, where would the money come to fund that fire department? And could HICID work with the city in either transferring buildings? We've got 5 firehouses here, 5. And could we work together to make that happen and have a really good fire department, which we have already? That's not the question. But can we afford to continue to fund it with this budget around this table? And are there any funds that the city has done and does a good job of getting funds that they can, but could we make that happen in some way? And then that's where a lawyer may be needed to be weigh in on.
Ken, to shed some light on that, according to our regulations, HICID's responsibility in all of this is to provide the structures, the trucks, and the equipment.
Okay.
Nowhere in our regulations does it talk about the cost of labor or employees. And I think at the time the regulations were written, it was a totally volunteer fire department, and there was no wages or labor involved.
Right.
But as far as the regulations, we are required to provide the buildings, the trucks, and the equipment. And I think it's, down the road, there's going to be conversation with the city. I think HICID will always retain the ownership of the infrastructure of the fire department, but the city needs to share in the cost of the labor, which is a significant portion of the budget, are the wages.
You don't think that it's a possibility that we can amend the regulations and turn this completely over to the city? Buildings and all? Machinery and all?
I think that's a question for the attorney, because now
Well,
we're
I
talking
think
about
it is a
giving away,
possibility.
we're talking about giving away assets of HICID, and I don't think we can do that. And again, that's why we need a regular attorney, just to ask him that question. I don't know that we can give away the fire station to the city. I don't think we can do that.
I agree with Randy. You're worried about the continuation of our assets, and here you're talking about giving them away. And that's, I agree 100%. We need to retain our assets so we can retain our assessment, our levy basis.
But we don't have to have a levy if we don't retain that, and if we can give that away, it's gonna take off millions and millions of dollars that we pay out over the years. That's what we gotta work on. That's the only way we're gonna get this budget under control, is to do things like, just like we suggested here. And if that's capable, after we talk to an attorney, and if, I think that's one of the things that should go on, because I think the city definitely has more ability to collect money from the feds and from the state than we do by a long shot. Is that correct?
I think the city, as far as governance and this sort of thing is concerned, has a lot more political power than does a suburban improvement district. Again, here I am talking like I know what I'm talking about, and that's bear hunting with a switch. when you start dealing with the law, and I think it's for an attorney to tell us.
I believe that going forward, when we have a meeting with the city, I think we need to really look at our interlocal agreement as to what we're providing for what price. We're providing a service that cost us 10 times what we're charging for it. What was the city interlocal agreement last year was 60 grand?
50.
50?
Then this year it was radios and $5,000.
And it cost us 350,000 just in the labor for the fire department? I think we need to look at our interlocal agreement going forward when we meet with the city.
Well, the other item that we might talk about is the water sewer plant. It was built in 2005 for like 6.5 million, the expansion, and I guess we owe 2.6 million or so left on that bond, no? How much? Yeah, I'm sorry, $1.5 million. But when that is paid for, what I'm looking down the road on, and there's somebody in the audience who's done a survey on this, but if SID goes away, if the SID is no longer here and the city of Holiday Island does everything, then we should be planning on that in this year, not 12 years from now. And the water sewer plant, the fire department, you've already taken over the sheriff's department. You've got two, I don't know if you've got 2 deputies now or 1, 2. So that's a step in the right direction for me, because we were doing that, and it was out of SID money, it was out of assessment money, and now you're paying for that. Good deal. I like that happened. And you've got an office right up there by your office, and it seems to be working really well. Why can't we do that on a couple of other things?
Well, I think that's steps that the city and the BOC need to sit down and discuss and get a plan and get a long-range plan, a feasibility study of what can happen and go from there. But
I think we can rely on Rich and Dan to put their heads together and develop an agenda. They're all aware of what we need to discuss, and the proper place to do that would be in a meeting. And I would say, if you have thoughts on something, pass them on to Rich, or if the city council has ideas, pass them on to Dan, and then we'll be coordinated and ready to go for this meeting.
Well,
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, because
Most definitely.
that's the best part. Me and Dan can talk anytime we want, so.
one of the things, Phyllis, one of the things is about a year ago or more, I think it was when Mr. Presley was here, we were going to form a committee of 2 or 3 city council members, 2 or 3 BOC members, and maybe the district manager and the mayor, and get together and talk about some of these things that we're talking about today at the table. That never happened.
It didn't happen.
Never happened. So
And
we
that's,
keep,
I mean, part of
the old saying, kicking the can down the road, we've been doing that I've been on 8 years now. And a lot of these things, like a 3-year plan, you think of an organization with a $5 million budget should have a 1 to 3 year plan? Just look at these fire hydrants that we just talked about. If we need more done, are we going to get done in 3 years, or 1 year, or 5 years? And what about this and that and the other thing? We have no plan. And I asked for one back when I was first on the board, and it didn't go anywhere. I was looking for a 2-year plan for infrastructure. Had none. Each budget year, we just say, what can we do, what can we not do, what do we have the money for, what we don't, everything else gets left. But if we had a plan that in 4 years we would do this or that or the other thing, maybe we could put some money away for that, but we don't operate that way. So I think Rich and Dan would be excellent to do this, but I think since we're the elected members by the people, we need to be involved in this. And then we could come up with some good ideas and let the administrators go forward with it and get the public behind us as well.
Well, I think the meeting between the city and the BOC has long been passed.
Yeah.
And it needs to be priority. It should have been a priority from day one, and it wasn't. But hey, you can't undo that. But anyway, I think as soon as we possibly can, we need to meet with the city, whether it be September the 19th or whenever. I know Dan's, Mr. Keys, Mayor Keys is kind of incapacitated right now with his foot operation, but anyway, we need to progress.
One quick announcement too, that the financials will be delayed due to having to upload the amended budget. So, just so you know, the financials will be delayed a little bit this time, so.
We won't have them for the meeting next week.
Well, that's kind of what I'm guessing. That's kind of what I'm guessing is we might not.
That's okay, yeah, just so we know.
Did you want to?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to amend the agenda to include a couple of things that we need corrected in the regulations.
Yes, indeed.
The one sheet that everyone has a copy of is section 5-36, Recreation Complex Rules. If you look at number 2, which is swimming pools, our regulations say that the swimming pool will be open mid-May to mid-September, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I propose that we change that from mid-May to mid-September, and the hours are at the discretion of the district manager, that we don't have specific hours posted in our regulations. They may be changed yearly, they may be changed at the discretion of the district manager based on manpower, weather, who knows what, but it shouldn't be a regulation that we're open 8 to 8 daily. So I recommend that we change the regulation to read that it's at the discretion of the district manager.
Well, if there's 4 inches of snow on the ground, I don't think they'd be there at 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Whatever. Yeah, I agree. Who in the world formed all these regulations anyway? And what for? I mean, use some common sense.
I think, Larry, your signature is on a few of these.
I mean, you've been here since 1920.
We don't,
Well, they're written for the times, and the times change.
Exactly, and what's changed most is the economy. When I look at some of the other things, and the next thing I was going to bring up, this one here, it's a simple change that it's at the discretion of the district manager. We don't have set hours.
Mr. Randy, before you go on, Mr. Chair, I think we talked about that many times about the hours, and I think Janice and district manager found when they surveyed other cities around Bentonville, Springdale, Rogers, Fayetteville, that our 8 to 8 was the longest period of open in a pool, in a public pool. Well, it's not our private pool, but all those cities, they are less hours than that.
We're not doing
All of
8
them.
to 8 now, are we?
It may be different this year, but at that time, we were staying open longer than anybody.
Okay.
And we also have early morning swim, I think that's even not on here. There's some folks that go over there and do lap swimming, I think it's earlier than that, maybe not.
No, it's roughly 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, okay.
I know the city that I was with, we opened the pool at 1 o'clock, and it closed at 4 o'clock. It reopened a couple of nights a week for adults at like 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and that was it. And holidays didn't make any difference whether it was what day it was, and the pool, but in Nebraska, it closes, you close the pool at school when the school starts, and actually, they close the pool like as school gets earlier and earlier and earlier every year. It was, for a while, until we changed that ordinance, they were closing when school started. Well, sometimes the 15th of August, it's still plenty hot and kids like to go swimming, so we did make a change in the hours. And when they went to school, we made a change that we would be open in the evenings from 5 o'clock till 7 o'clock, just for kids that were in school. We also had that, in other words, we had the pool still open but we didn't have the adult hours then. But we started at 7 or or excuse me, at 1 and finished at 7 o'clock at night for that month.
Probably had lifeguards too, didn't you? Lifeguards.
Well, yeah, we had to have lifeguards, it's state law.
Our clerks over there are the ones that are sort of watching.
We don't have lifeguards. I don't know as any of them can save anybody's life,
No, we don't.
unless you had a pool.
We have the ability to call 911.
Yeah.
So this change would be minimal, but we need to, it has to be in a resolution that we'll do in a regular
I think
meeting.
It'd be an amendment to the resolution.
I'm sorry?
It's just an amendment to the resolution,
Yes,
which only requires one reading.
correct.
Regulation, I'm sorry.
The other one I had a question about, or we need to address, is section 531, which is the amenity use policy, activity card, and user fee program established. It starts off, section 531A is that all Holiday Island amenities are restricted as private facilities unless the facility or amenity has been categorized as semi-private by regulation. I can't see any regulation where we made the ballroom semi-private or the ballroom or the, well, the golf courses are semi-private.
Oh, and the barns that,
At the barn, the ballroom, there's several things. As a matter of fact, everything on our fee schedule of amenities is semi-private. So the regulation 531A cannot read that all amenities are private. It should read that all the amenities are semi-private with the exception of the swimming pool. Right now, we're charging, we have a conflict what we allow a non-resident or a non-homeowner to rent the barn or the ballroom or the island room. We allow that in our amenity schedule of fees, but in our regulations, it's deemed private and it cannot be rented. So there's a conflict there that we need to resolve, and I suggest that we resolve it by saying all of the amenities are semi-private with the exception of the swimming pool, which remains private. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Also.
I'm just going through the regulations, trying to clean up some of the conflicts of what we do in everyday practice is not what's in the regulation.
And
Isn't there a separate regulation that governs rental to outsiders? There's another section to this that talks about outside usage and who can do it.
There is,
I'm wondering
and I
if
have that
covers.
outlined to go over in next month's work
Well, don't
session.
they work together?
No, because this is the first part of it that defines everything is private.
Okay.
So we need to change that right off the bat, that not everything is private. The only thing that's private is the pool. And all of this changed because of the definition of semi-private, which according to our regulations, semi-private are those facilities or amenities that regular patronage by non-property owners is required to sustain its operations at a desired level. Meaning, if we didn't rent out the barn to outsiders, it would not continue on as it is with just Holiday Island people using it. Same with the ballroom. Same with the island room. These things need to be deemed as semi-private, not private.
I think there's also a phrase in there that says that 70% of the people participating in that have to be property owners.
And that's in next month's work session. I have that all lined out. And that 70%, it is very confusing, but if you read it about 9 times, it starts to make sense.
I did not sign that.
Right. Mr. Chair, I agree with Randy and the research he's done on this. One of the things that's confusing is when these were written many, many years ago, some of them, we didn't have short-term rentals. We didn't have people with a rental pass for their tenants. We didn't have fees for those folks. And I was talking to Rich on the way in. I'm glad the pool party, I couldn't go last Saturday night, but several of those things have been just very, very successful with our very nice building over there and our very nice facilities. But there are other regulations as well, in addition to the two you brought up, that are out of date, they need to be changed. And we talked about it, I think, one time at this meeting, maybe several months ago, that we should probably, I thought there were about 20 that needed changing. And I thought maybe.
At least.
You've done your two, maybe the rest of us could each do 2 or 3, or the office staff. We don't have to pay an attorney to do them, but we need to have, if we're gonna have regulations, then we need to be following them, and they need to be up to date and accurate. If they're not, then what is the worth of having them? You know,
Well, if they're not, then we're actually doing business in violation of our own regulations.
Right, right.
And I suggested a month or two ago that we bring up 2 or 3 or 4 regulations at each work session and just breeze through them quickly, and during the regular meeting, it's a matter of just agreeing to approve a resolution to change the pool hours.
Yeah.
It's a very quick thing.
Yeah.
But there are things that we could be doing to update the regulations. And many of them are very dated.
I've had them, each department, go through and look at their regulations and make notes of what they thought needed to be changed and everything, which they have done. And then we are bringing in, this week, we're going to bring in department heads and go over their regulations, step by step, see what they got. And that way we'll have notes, and I can email them out to you, what notes they have for that too.
Thank you.
So that way you guys can work off that too.
When you do that, have Lauren look over all of the fees and schedules as to the golfing and the tournaments and what we're charging and what we're actually getting.
Okay.
Because some of those fees for golf tournaments and all that stuff are very dated.
Rich, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I like what Randy did today, because the work session means we have a little more time to discuss these things, and then we're going to change them next Monday. It would go through in 3 minutes. And these other ones that you mentioned, 20 pages or so, we could do maybe 2 or 3 a month, and by Christmas time, we'd have it all done, you know?
Well, maybe by Easter.
Okay.
Rich, I'd like to ask a question. You know, you had a meeting with the rec center people, correct?
Yes.
I'd like a little report on what you accomplished and what went on.
Well,
I was
basically.
unable to make it.
Huh?
I was unable to come to
Yeah.
that meeting that day.
Basically, we just went over the problem that was at hand and worked on, which went over customer service a little bit, and just tried to clean up everything and try and get the morale back up, because, I mean, social media is the root of all evil. And you do one little thing wrong and it gets plastered all over, and then the next thing you know, you got employees that don't want to do a darn thing. So it was customer service, it was about keeping morale up, and the situation, I feel, it needed to be dealt with, and it was. There was action taken for the employee, but it also was, I feel like, blown a little bit out of proportion. But
Did
it
you
was-
accomplish a lot?
Yes.
They understand.
An hour and a half.
Are we understanding that we just still have one employee working at a time?
Yes.
Okay.
Besides the grounds.
I know I got an email from a couple different people on the golf course, the clubhouse. I'll probably I'll give you, I just handed it to
I'm sure I
Ken
got the
to read.
same two
I don't think
emails.
you got that email.
I didn't? Okay.
No. You might. No, you didn't, because it was yeah, you could have possibly. Anyhow, whatever. You know, I mean, I see there's so many things that are kind of looking to me like we aren't doing our job in a lot of places. So I'll hand those to you, or you tell me if you read them.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
I mentioned to Rich too, that I think maybe HISID needs a better job of notifying the short-term rental owners. I went up to the city hall the other day, and I think there are I want to say 42, but I may be wrong on that. Way over 100, and Jill showed me the list. And we should send, and we do, send those short-term rental owners a letter saying, this is about the pool. This year it's $200, and it's $6 a piece, and then some of us feel that's too much. But we pass those rules, but we can amend them, we can lower it. But anyway, so what the rec center staff is, and Rich found that out at the meeting, I couldn't go either, the people are coming up and they've got their floaties and they got their suits on and they got 3 kids with them, and grandkids, and they're ready to get in that beautiful pool. Guess what? Their owner of their short-term rental, if they're paying $200 a night, didn't fill out the form. They may not have paid the $200 for their fee, license, or whatever it's called. And they go in there and they say, what? It's 97 degrees, and I saw the brochures on my short-term rental, and I want my kids to go in this pool. It's like hell out here, and the temperature. And the district staff has to say, sorry, and they get a lot of grief. And after you've been through that for hour after hour, I know your patience gets thin. So I think that we could do a better job, and the city will give us addresses. I mean, that's a public document, and if they want their tenants to use those facilities, like Randy just brought up, then we need to really enforce it. Well, we're enforcing it, and they're PO'd when they leave, but it's not helping them to come back. They don't want to buy houses. They say, I'm not going to be treated like that. And our staff saying, we only let people in here who are authorized to be here and are paying the fee because the Board of Commissioners said it. So if we want to change it and make it better for our employees, and we're lucky that some of them are still staying there, and as Rich said, customer service, there's things you can do to make things better. But after hour after that, it gets a little wearing, I'm sure. But we can notify them, and then I don't know what to do. They say, I paid $200 and I'm here for a week and I have $1,400 and I can't use the darn pool. That's bad. I'm not coming back here.
Ken, I brought this up with a couple of months ago and referred Janice to the Planning Commission website, which has a list of every short-term permit we've issued and their addresses, the contacts, the phone numbers, everything. And she told me, I believe a couple of months ago, she did make a mailing to all these people.
That's right.
If they don't pay the $200, so be it. What I have an issue with is when people come here on vacation and they saw the brochure for their short-term rental and it shows they're going to go swimming and all this. Now you got these 3, 5, 7-year-olds that are all jacked up to go swimming, and they come over there and through no fault of them or their parents, they're penalized and can't go swimming. I think this board needs to come up with some sort of a remedy. When that happens, we charge $10 per kid and let them in. We have to come up with something that those kids can go swimming. They can't be here a week and not be swimming because some knucklehead in Texas didn't send $200 so these kids can go swimming. So I think as a board, we need to come up with a remedy to provide some service for these kids to go swimming.
I think what we need to do is we need to put a program together on all the amenities and give it to the Planning Commission. And when anybody makes application for a short-term rental, they have it in their hand. They have exactly what they need to know about what is required for them to pay the regular membership because they're a property owner, just like all the rest of us are. Everybody's the same. They pay it, and then they can get their little punch card or whatever that they need to send their patrons to any of the facilities that we have, because they're entitled to all of them just as we are. Property owners are property owners, where they live in Egypt or wherever, it doesn't matter. If they got a short-term rental here, they own property here, and they can pass it on just like we pass it on to our visitors. But we need to have that schedule printed and given to the city or the planning commission or whoever they make application to, and tell them, okay, here's what it is.
I agree with that idea that when the planning commission approves a short-term rental, there should be a sheet in there that explains what they have to do to be able to use the pool. I mean, Janice assured me she mailed it to all these places, but maybe it should be part of the checklist when they get their short-term rental permit, that if they're gonna use the pool facility, they have to pay the $200.
I think we probably need to get that list and mail them and say, okay, Holiday Island Suburban Improvement District regulations are this for the golf course, the campground, the swimming pool, and every facility that we have. And just explain to them what it is, and let them make up their own mind. If they want their patrons to be able to use the pool, they need to pay the membership fee. And I think we need to make that membership fee and the usage fee reasonable. What we need to do is we need to make it a pleasant place to be.
I
And a
think
pleasant
that's, I think
experience.
that's the problem. We
Yeah,
haven't.
and
We
it-
made this thing a mess.
Well, the timeshares have one set of rules, and they are nothing more than a short-term rental, as well as everyone else that registers as a short-term rental. Though those people are allowed to get a voucher from the front desk, and at the end of the month, they send those vouchers to HICID, and they pay the homeowner, the resident homeowners' fees to use either the golf courses or the swimming pools. Still comes back to the kid that wants to go swimming today, and his landlord or whoever the short-term rental permit holder didn't send $200. How do we get that kid to swim today?
Well, are we sure that that homeowner or that person, does he know that he needs to do that if they want to use the facilities?
Larry, we have no way of knowing that.
Well, that's what we need.
But right now, we're penalizing the 4-year-old that's here on vacation from Ohio. He wants to go swimming and he can't because adults made some stupid decisions.
Maybe we need to amend this $200 and just say, okay, if you're a homeowner, I mean, you are a homeowner in Holiday Island. So if you rent your place out and somebody comes, instead of that $6 fee, forget this $200 and let's just charge them $10. And then I think you'll get more money out of this deal than $200.
But I don't think the object, Doug, is to get more money. I think it's to have people enjoy the pool and the amenities.
Well, I agree, but
And-
we got to amend something to get them, to be able to let them do it.
But
Well,
golf and the swimming pool are the only thing that costs a short-term rental tenant anything. Basketball is free, pickleball is free, shuffleboard is free, putt-putt golf is free.
Wait a
Everything
minute.
is free over there at the
If you
sports
go
center.
down there to that pavilion and you set yourself down and try to have a meal there, somebody's gonna be on you like a duck on a June bug. Cause that's happened.
But these are the only two things that
And
charge.
we've,
The only two
first
things
of
that
all,
charge.
tell them that they can't be there unless they pay a fee and run them off.
Well,
And then
may
they
I-
were just gonna eat their peanut butter sandwich.
On, the swimming pool is basically the only thing where we're having a major issue. We're not turning anyone away from the golf course because it's semi-private. But this, what we need is a strongly conveyed message to the property owner that they're responsible for the fee, and we don't like turning away their customers, because that's who we're turning away. You are receiving the benefit of having this pool. You are advertising this pool. You are using our chemicals, our facilities, and you are responsible for the $200. And I don't want to turn kids away either. I mean, I think it's a terrible thing.
But Phyllis,
it's not our-
we're not
it's
only
not our
turning away their
fault.
customer, we're turning away our future customer or future homeowner.
Maybe. I mean, you know,
Yep.
maybe. But the point is, I don't think we can let them in just for a paid fee, because then does it not become a public pool?
Well, I think we ought to amend that rules, we ought to amend those things and our regulations and make it semi-private and hire a lifeguard, which we should in the first place, because if somebody drowns there and you don't have a lifeguard on duty, believe me, that lawyer is gonna come after us like you ain't never seen. Because even though it's not required, I'll tell you what, in a court of law, that requirements don't mean crap. So I think that's what we ought to do, is we ought to amend it to so it isn't private, a semi-private, and hire a lifeguard. Man, you can hire lifeguards all over. And they say you can't, but I know you can. There's lots of high school kids that go to those classes.
Well, but that leads to the question is, if you virtually made it public, which is what you're talking about,
Semi-private.
could we handle the crowd?
Well, that's enough.
Or would we be so overwhelmed with people that we couldn't handle it anyway? And that's, might be part of a good reason to keep it the way it is, because
Exactly.
otherwise it becomes a public pool in Holiday Island. I don't know how many people are gonna show up.
Take a look at the point down here and right over here, and look at how many people are swimming in the lake there that would be in that pool.
Because it's free.
Because it's, or public, yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be free, it would be a.
Well, I mean, the point and what he's talking about, those are free now, so people use them, but those same people would use the
I think all
pool.
those things need to be looked at with the regulations that we have. And we're looking at the regulations now, trying to get those straightened up. And I think at some point in time, what we've done is we have limited our facilities to people by our regulations and our rules, and trying to make it pleasing to us, as opposed to making it pleasant for people that are visiting. And I think that is,
And
every once in a while, the developer comes out in me, you've got to make it a pleasant experience for people to be somewhere so they want to come back.
It'll be a pleasant experience if the property owner does their job and pays their fee.
Well-
And again, I think we need a better, more forceful communication to start the whole process.
We need communication, period.
I think then if we're gonna charge property owners $200, we ought to charge every property owner $200, not just pick out who you want to
We do.
charge.
We do. That is exactly the same as we charge them now.
Yeah.
I don't get charged $200 for the pool, I get charged $100.
Well,
No,
Because you're talking about
Families,
money that,
200.
you know, we all pay, I think, my fees, on my house and that were like, I don't know, 1,500 or something like that. By the time I have my lot next to me and my house for our fees here that we charge. Yeah, for assessments. I mean, but you know, these people get their assessments and then we're charging them another 200 just because they rent their place. That is really crazy.
A family swim pass right now is $200.
right,
my family.
Yes.
right, right.
100?
But
Individual is
One
100.
individual is one.
But if you're talking about a family, which I think what we're talking about here for the short-term rentals is
Yeah,
mom and
exactly.
3 kids is the family,
That's right.
and they would pay $200.
They all pay $200.
But I'm saying that anybody here in the audience that uses that pool that has a family is paying the same rate.
Right.
They're paying $200.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Everybody pays the same thing.
That's what you ought to
Property
do.
owners
We
are
ought to
property
just,
owners.
not just, you just say, okay, the rate for a pass for the pool, period, whatever you are, if you're a homeowner, is $200, period.
We have time to get into this on the
Well,
regulations.
but that's
that
why
doing.
that's why we're having these discussions, so we lay out ideas so that
That-
we can make a logical decision.
that $200 annual pool fee, or $100 for an individual, is optional. If I don't use the pool, if I want to go to the pool, I'll pay my $5, but I'm in there maybe once a year.
Yeah.
But the idea that these short-term rental owners Yes, they're property owners, but they are also business people.
Yep.
And they are making a living
Yep.
off of the revenue.
Okay, so they sell their house and then we have nothing.
Well, they're not gonna sell their house.
Why not? I mean, if you're
Because
gonna
they can't
charge
go
them
to
to
the
death,
swimming pool?
huh?
Because they can't go to the swimming pool?
I don't, ma'am, you keep charging, we keep raising all our costs. Every year we raise. Pretty soon we're gonna price ourselves out of the
Well,
market.
The point about
I
the
think it's
short-term
baloney.
rentals is that the property owner recoups that. Every time he charges a fee to the people who are in his place, he is getting that money back.
It is a cost of doing business.
Yeah.
It's basically what it is.
He's a homeowner.
But he's a homeowner and he pays the same as every single one of us pay. We're not gonna jack those prices up. If you do, you're flirting with the court.
Well, if he wants to have his people come, he pays the 200 for them,
Well, yeah, but then they pay a daily rate.
$6.
$6.
I think, and
And that needs to be changed.
I thank Janice for sending that out. She was directed to do that. But I think next year, this coming year, it's got to be certified mail. Spend the $6 or whatever it is to send a certified letter. Then Joe Dokes in Kansas City can't say, I didn't know that I had to pay $200 to get my guests in for $6 or $4 or whatever it is. Certified mail. Then they can't say that they didn't get it.
Well, but we would accomplish the same thing by putting it in their renewal of their permit. Yes. But I still go back to my original question.
I think.
How do we get the 7-year-old that his landlord didn't pay the fee? How does he get to go swimming today? We got to come up with a remedy.
It's not the city council's problem. It's the BOC and the HICID problem. And by the way, Mr. Chairman, next Monday, I'd like to bring up an agenda item, Rich, that I would like the BOC to approve or support the A&P committee, the Advertising Promotion Committee, which has been approved by the City Council. It's on the agenda tomorrow night at their meeting. But I would like us to approve and support that, I guess support is a better word, for November 5th, for everybody to vote for Holiday Island, the only city in the area that doesn't have, it's like Cap C over in Eureka. It's promote things like short-term rentals, and it's to have that money come in, and then that's going to be a lot of money, because there's over like 140 short-term rentals and more coming up. So I'd like us to support that as a way of getting some funds from people that are coming in and visiting us. And you can vote the way you want, but I would recommend that be on the agenda.
Okay. We'll put that on the agenda. Okay.
I'd also like to put on some of the water stuff for the golf course. We talked this spring, we talked about water in the fairways, we talked about fixing some of the fairway, the heads, and, we got dry, and the golf course, its appearance is everything to a golf course, and the appearance was terrible. We haven't put one pile of dirt on where there's bare. We haven't got anything ready for the fall to plant grass in those areas, and we're getting more and bigger bare spots all over the course. And as we lose that grass, pretty soon we don't have a golf course. You have a cow pasture.
And I
want to bring that up on the agenda.
I have the schedule for the sprinkler systems right here, and I can forward this to you in an email, so that way you know what he is doing with it. And the other plans of the bad spots and how the trees are taking the moisture or the nutrients out of the fairways, which isn't helping us any. So we have a schedule on this, and I've been talking to Tyler about that too.
Well, we talked about that this spring.
We can
and
talk
with-
about that
with a
later,
meeting-
too.
With a meeting with Tyler. I
Yep.
did with the
Yep.
district manager.
Yep.
And we brought him in here and talked with him, and we agreed that that's what we were gonna do.
And we can talk about that later.
Yep, okay, all right.
Okay. Anything else? I think so. But anyway, adjourned.